Hello, welcome to the next class of Electronic Product Design lecture series. In the previous class, we have seen what are the five elements of user-centered design. Out of those five elements, we have already started with the first important element, that is cognition. We have already seen what is cognition. It is nothing but the mental tasks and computations used by the operator or user in operating the particular product or device. So, because of these mental tasks and computations, we need to consider various aspects of cognition. So, what are these aspects? First is learning, second is memory. We have already seen these two aspects of cognition. Now let us study next aspect, that is organization, that comes under this cognition. Now what is the meaning of this organization in the user interface? Organization means how do you organize the front panel view of the product or interface. What user sees in this front panel view, that is important. So if you put information such that where user expect to see the particular information, then we say that the organization of the particular product's interface is very good. So how should be the organization of front panel view? It should be very simple, concise, and with few components. Because if you include too many components in the front panel view of the product, then it increases the complexity of the product from user point of view or operator point of view. So what is expected is you must put sufficient components in the front panel view with proper functionality. Now if when you put knobs or functions on the front panel view in a simple manner, then you are putting all those knobs into various menus. So, how do you categorize or how do you organize these menus? You can have different options. Typical options are you can organize in alphabetical manner, you can randomly organize it, you can do organization as per category. So, as far as lot of studies are carried out, the study shows that category menus are preferred over alphabetical or random organization. Now, besides this, your organization, it shouldn't include too many colors in the front panel view. Too many windows, too many different character sizes, it should be avoided. Because if you put large number of colors, if you put different fonts, different character sizes for your knobs or functions, then it becomes difficult to access the particular function easily. So basically, while designing front panel view from organization point of view, it is necessary to consider what are the requirements of user. Our simple example is when we take simple product, electronic product, that is CRO, then what do we expect? We have a typical front panel view of CRO in our mind. What do we see is CRO's front panel view is categorized into horizontal section controls, vertical section controls, triggering controls, power section is different. It means the menus are categorized as per its functionality. So this is one organization that is done in the case of front panel view of the CRO. Like this, you can study front panel views of other electronic equipments also. Now, let us study the next important aspect of cognition after organization. This aspect is consistency. Now, consistency is very, very important in the front panel layout. So, consistency, it should be in what form? It should be in the different forms, colors of the particular electronic product. It should be whatever operations are carried out by user, those operations, these should be typically consistent operations. So if you put typical functionality for the typical knob, and if colors, its sizes and everything are consistent, then it becomes very easy for user to operate it, and it requires very less time to train the user. So finally, if your front panel layout is consistent in the form of various shapes of knobs or sizes, if color is same, if operation is also same, then training time is reduced and it becomes very easy for user to operate that particular equipment. Then you have to consider, besides consistency, the capabilities of user also. User experience is very important. Typical example is in the lab, students are using CROs frequently. So in the second year, third year, you use CRO of typical companies. If in the final year, if you have to operate CRO of different company, but if CROs are maintaining typical consistencies, then it becomes very easy for you to use that CRO of different company, because most of the time consistency is maintained. Consistency for what? Consistency for vertical section controls, horizontal section controls. Organization is important, but besides that, consistency is also important. Then frequency of use. Students, they operate it frequently, therefore it becomes very easy for the student to operate CRO or any product which they are frequently using. Whereas if you take occasional user or infrequent user, then it becomes very difficult for occasional user to operate it. Take simple example of CRO itself. CRO has lot of knobs and functions are different. If the user is infrequent or novice user, he is not familiar with the CRO, though he is an educated and technical person, then if he sees the particular CRO after a long time, or if he is an infrequent user, then it becomes very difficult for that person to operate it. So these things, that is user capabilities, are also very important as far as cognition is considered. What this means is each user is forming a mental model of the particular instrument or product. Simple example, as again we take for the CRO. For the CRO, we always know that whenever we have to operate it, we need to use vertical section controls. We need to set trace lines for vertical, for channel 1, channel 2. We need to set time base. We need to move horizontal trace, vertical trace. So these are typical functionalities. So we have a particular mental model of that particular CRO. So if the consistency is maintained, then it becomes easy for us to operate that particular instrument. Another thing is, importance of consistency is, whenever we add more functionalities, if the consistency is maintained, then it becomes very easy for us to learn new or more functionalities. But if the consistency is not maintained, then it takes lot of time for us. It means it affects cognition. It involves mental tasks if consistency is not maintained properly. What is important is you should study CRO front panel user interface to study these aspects. So this is just one picture of CRO front panel interface. Here what we can see is, we see that this is a power on button. Then this is channel 1 vertical section control, volts per division, channel 2 volts per division. These are various vertical controls. This is focus, this is times per division. So typical knobs are organized as per category, and consistency is maintained. So we always know that power section is different, where intensity, focus controls are different, vertical section is different, horizontal section is different. Here what is maintained is organization, consistency. These aspects of cognition are maintained in CRO's front panel interface. And that's why we have a particular mental model of this instrument. So it becomes very easy for us, especially for the students, to operate CROs of different companies also with ease. So, what is expected is you should do one activity regarding studying the five elements of this user interface design. Now we are just concentrating on cognition and its aspects. So we'll do it one by one. So what you do is you take two electronic products or instruments. Preferably you can use CRO, digital multimeter, function generator. I suggest to use CRO and function generator because CRO has lot of knobs and functions. So I prefer CRO. Try to draw front panel interface of these instruments without actually seeing or viewing it, because you know you have already used it. And then you test yourself that how many knobs you remember from it. And then you realize the importance of cognition and its aspects. So consistency and organization aspects of cognition, it allows you to test yourself these parameters with the help of simple example of CRO. So do this activity so that you will come to know how these aspects of cognition are affecting the user interface. So finally, we can conclude about first element cognition is that definitely cognition affects utility of the product. Because what do we expect is cognition is nothing but mental tasks, that is learning and memory or remembrance. So if you provide all the satisfactory parameters or aspects of cognition, then product becomes very easy to use. It means cognition affects the utility of the product. Now the next parameter, that is image of the particular product, its success, all these two parameters and further benefits and all that, these are related with the cognition. So what we can say is using cognitive aspects properly, it increases utility of product as well as it increases popularity and economic gains also. We can see different types of smartphones in the market, and we will come to know what is the image or popularity of each smartphone and why the popularity is like this. Naturally, cognition, this parameter is going to affect about this smartphone. Now, after studying this first element, let us study the second element of user interface, that is ergonomics. What is ergonomics? The question comes to your mind. It is related with human factors. It is concerned with physical parameters related with the human beings. What it affects the accessibility of the particular product, arrangement of the product, and how the product is fit for a human being for its usability. In other words, or in simple words, we can say that ergonomics of the concern parameters, human parameters in the design, it allows any human being to access any product easily. Simple example is whenever we are working on our desktop computer and we are sitting on a particular chair, we know that whenever we use or we sit on a particular or specific chair which is designed as a computer table and computer chair only, then it becomes very easy for us to access or to operate that desktop computer easily for a long duration. Whereas if we use a chair other than that specific computer chair, then after 1 hour or 2 hours, we feel uncomfortable while working on that desktop. Why do we feel uncomfortable? Because that chair is not designed properly by considering the human parameters. What are these human parameters? Height of any human being, height of legs, position of hands, length of hand. All these parameters of human being is very, very important. Right now you may think that it is not that much important, but I think it is the most important parameter that must be considered while designing any electronic product. Ergonomics is very important because if you are not comfortable in operating or using any product, then that product will be completely rejected in the market. Because if the product is not fit as per ergonomics, then naturally the human beings will feel uncomfortable with the product. They may face lot of problems in operating or using the product. Simple example, we have observed in many cases, even myself also, whenever I use desktop computer with uncomfortable positions, then it starts giving me pain in my neck, pain in my back. So what happens is, if your products are not designed by considering ergonomic factors, then it becomes very, very uncomfortable. So after a certain duration or certain years, you start thinking that it's very hectic and it's very tedious to use those products, and it starts affecting your health also. So that's why ergonomics is very, very important. Now, while studying ergonomics, how to collect data required for these human beings. So when we collect data regarding these human beings or physical parameters of human beings, then we call that data as anthropometric data. So what is this anthropometric data? It is nothing but we take data related with size, weight and other physical parameters of human beings. Its statistics is also studied. All these statistics or capabilities of human beings is used in designing any product. So what other factors are considered? Capabilities of human population along with the age, whether that particular person is male, female. Its age is also important. Size, weight, then experience, inexperienced user. Like this, many parameters are considered. So there is a science related with this anthropometric data or ergonomics, and that is called anthropology. What is it? It is a science of human beings. It is nothing but study of human beings and their ancestors through time and space in relation to physical character. So this statistics or this data is very, very important because it is going to constrain physical dimensions of your product as well as your workplace. Now, in the next class, we are going to study the three parameters that come under this ergonomics. Those are workplaces, lighting, and cues or indicators of functions. Now, let us conclude over here that we have seen, I just summarize it, we have studied about aspects of cognition. You have to carry out activity with any electronic product as suggested. So do that activity and realize the aspects of cognition. Now let us conclude over here, and in the next class we'll study the details of ergonomics. Thank you.